Imagine this. What if you suddenly came into a huge amount of money? Would your life truly feel free and peaceful, or would fear, stress, and confusion only grow? Is money controlling your decisions? Or are you using it to strengthen your choices? Today we're diving into a book that doesn't just teach you how to get rich, it shows you how to build a balanced, fearless, and calm relationship with money. Did you know most people lose their relationships, time, and mental peace in the race to earn more? And are you still stuck trying to balance income with peace of mind? By the end of this video, you'll learn how money can be your servant, not your master, and how the right mindset is more valuable than any bank balance. So let's get started and discover the true power of money and its rightful place in your life. Chapter 1. Money doesn't create peace, your mindset does. What if you suddenly had a lot of money? Would your life instantly become calm and free, or would fear, stress, and confusion quietly grow even stronger? This book begins with that uncomfortable question, because before teaching you how to earn money, it forces you to understand what money actually is and where it truly belongs in your life. Most financial problems, the author explains, are not caused by a lack of money, they are caused by wrong thinking about money. Money itself is neither good nor bad. It simply amplifies what already exists inside you. In the hands of clear thinking, it becomes freedom. In the grip of fear and bad habits, it turns into chains. Many people want money for security, respect, and relief from future anxiety. Ironically, when money is earned or handled with fear and greed, that same anxiety multiplies. More money does not automatically mean more peace. If fear lives inside you, even wealth will feel unstable. But when your thinking is clean, even limited income can feel balanced and sufficient. The book repeatedly reminds us of one core truth: money is a tool, not a destination. Problems begin when people turn the tool into the purpose of life. The moment money starts controlling your decisions instead of supporting them, you are already moving in the wrong direction. Debt is explained as one of the biggest enemies of freedom. At first it feels helpful and comfortable. Over time it quietly takes control. Debt is not just a financial issue, it is a mental burden. It forces people to work beyond their limits, not out of passion or purpose, but out of pressure. Slowly, life loses balance. Saving, the author says, is not a sacrifice. It is a habit that builds confidence. Saving doesn't mean destroying today, it means weakening tomorrow's fear. When you have savings, decisions are made with clarity, not desperation. This chapter sets the foundation. Money should strengthen your choices, not weaken them. It should support your life, not run it. And until you understand this difference, no amount of income will ever feel like enough. Chapter 2. Fear and greed, the real forces behind money decisions. Most people believe they make financial decisions using logic. In reality, money decisions are driven by emotions, especially fear and greed. The book explains that fear of the future, fear of being left behind, and fear of not having enough quietly control how people earn, spend, save, and invest. At the same time, greed pushes people to want more, faster, and at any cost. These two emotions work together to trap people in constant stress. Comparison plays a dangerous role here. The moment you start measuring your life against others, your needs suddenly increase. Things that once felt optional begin to feel necessary. This is how unnecessary spending begins, not to improve life, but to protect ego. Without realizing it, people raise their stress level instead of their lifestyle. The author highlights a powerful truth: money does not change who you are, it exposes you. If fear exists inside, money will amplify it. If clarity and discipline exist, money will strengthen them. That is why sudden wealth often destroys people who are not mentally prepared for it. Many people keep chasing money because they believe it will finally make them feel enough, but the word enough never arrives. When the mind is dissatisfied, no amount of income can fill an emotional gap. When self-worth is tied to money, every financial ups and downs becomes a personal hit. This chapter also breaks a common illusion. More money does not automatically mean better decisions. In fact, unclear thinking combined with more money often leads to bigger mistakes. Without emotional control, money becomes fuel for anxiety, not freedom. The lesson is simple but uncomfortable. Until fear and greed are recognized and managed, money will never feel stable. True financial strength begins when emotions stop controlling decisions. Chapter 3. Debt, saving, and the illusion of comfort. Debt often enters life quietly, disguised as comfort and convenience. At first it feels helpful, an easier way to enjoy today. But over time, debt stops serving you and starts controlling your choices. This chapter explains that debt is not just a money problem. It is a mental pressure. When payments become fixed and income feels uncertain, decisions are no longer made freely. People begin working more not to grow but simply to survive. Slowly, life turns into a cycle of bills, deadlines, and constant tension. The book describes this as modern slavery, where people appear busy and successful but internally feel trapped. Work loses meaning, not because effort is wrong, but because fear becomes the main driver. Saving is presented from a completely different angle. Saving is not about restriction or living in fear. It is about building options. When you have savings, you gain breathing room. You can say no to bad choices. You can wait instead of rushing. You can think clearly instead of reacting emotionally. The author emphasizes that saving today weakens tomorrow's anxiety. It shifts decision-making from desperation to intention. Even small savings create psychological strength because they restore control. This chapter also warns against confusing comfort with freedom. Many comforts are purchased at the cost of long-term stress. True comfort comes from stability, not from temporary pleasure funded by future pressure. The core message is clear: debt takes away freedom before you even realize it. Saving gives freedom long before it looks impressive. Money starts working for you only when it stops owning your time and mental space. Chapter 4. Why more money doesn't fix a broken relationship with life. Read this chapter challenges one of the most common beliefs about success, that earning more automatically improves life. The truth is uncomfortable. More money only magnifies existing habits and priorities. The author explains that earning more is never the real danger. The danger begins when money becomes the center of life. When income growth comes at the cost of health, relationships, and self-respect, the price is far higher than the paycheck. Money can replace many things, but it can never repair what is emotionally and physically broken. The book highlights how honesty is not just a moral choice but a financial one. Money earned through shortcuts, manipulation, or constant compromise always carries hidden costs: fear, stress, and insecurity. There is always anxiety about losing it or being exposed. In contrast, money earned with integrity brings a quiet confidence that no amount of income can buy. This chapter also talks about satisfaction. Many people keep saving and earning because they believe they are still not there yet, but when the mind is never satisfied, there never arrives. Contentment is not weakness, it is mental strength. It protects you from endless comparison and emotional exhaustion. The author reminds us that financial freedom does not mean stopping work. It means working without fear. When money controls motivation, life becomes heavy. When purpose leads and money follows, life feels lighter and more meaningful. The chapter closes with a powerful idea. Money makes a great servant but a terrible master. When it sits at the center of your life, everything else slowly moves to the edges. True wealth begins when money supports your values instead of replacing them. Chapter 5. Comparison, Ego, and the Cost of Proving Yourself. The chapter exposes one of the most silent destroyers of financial peace: comparison. The moment you start measuring your life against others, your needs multiply. Things that once felt optional suddenly feel essential. Not because your life actually requires them, but because your ego demands validation. This is how unnecessary spending begins, not to improve life, but to protect image. The author explains that society constantly pushes a dangerous message: show more, spend more, become more. But real stability is quiet. People who are truly secure don't feel the urge to prove their status. Those who feel the strongest pressure to display success are often the most financially stressed. This chapter also reveals a painful truth: when self-worth becomes tied to income, every financial setback feels like personal failure. A drop in earnings starts to feel like a loss of identity. That's why many people panic after financial losses, not because of money itself, but because their sense of value was attached to it. The book makes it clear that lifestyle inflation is rarely about comfort. It's about comparison. As income grows, desires grow faster. Without awareness, progress turns into pressure. Instead of feeling grateful, people feel trapped trying to maintain an image they never truly needed. The lesson here is simple but powerful. The most expensive life is the one built to impress others. Freedom begins the moment you stop competing in races you never signed up for. When comparison ends, clarity begins and money finally stops feeling heavy. Chapter 6. Budgeting, Discipline, and Real Financial Control. This chapter breaks a common myth that budgeting limits freedom. In reality, not budgeting is what removes freedom. Most people avoid budgets because they feel restrictive. They believe rules will take away enjoyment. But the book explains the opposite. When money has no direction, it controls you. When you decide where money goes, control comes back into your hands. A budget is not about cutting joy. It is about clarity. It allows you to spend without guilt because your priorities are already defined. Without a budget, even high income feels unstable. With one, even modest income feels manageable. The author explains that discipline is not harshness. It is structure, and structure creates calm. When spending is intentional, fear reduces. You no longer react to bills, emergencies, or surprises. You plan for them. This chapter also warns about sudden money and fast success. Without discipline, money that comes quickly leaves just as fast. The problem is never the amount, it is the lack of preparation. Money without control magnifies bad habits instead of fixing them. Budgeting builds confidence over time. Each clear decision strengthens trust in yourself. That trust slowly replaces anxiety. Instead of guessing, you know. Instead of hoping, you plan. The key message is powerful. Budgeting is not a small mindset, it is the first step toward independence. Control over money always starts with control over behavior. When discipline becomes a habit, money stops being stressful and starts becoming predictable. Chapter 7, Work, Purpose, and the Price of Chasing Money. Alan Ether's chapter shifts the focus from money itself to the relationship between work and meaning. The author explains that work was never meant to exist only for survival. When a job is done purely for a paycheck, it slowly drains energy and purpose. Life begins to feel heavy, not because of effort, but because there is no deeper reason behind it. Money becomes dangerous when it is the only motivation. People start trading time, health, and relationships just to maintain income. Over time, even success feels empty. The book reminds us that money works best as a byproduct of meaningful work, not as the sole goal. This chapter also talks about risk. Taking risks is not wrong. Blind risk is. Chasing quick wealth without preparation is driven by greed, not courage. Real progress comes from calculated decisions, patience, and understanding the cost of failure before stepping forward. The author makes an important distinction. Simple living is not weakness. It is intelligence. Comfort is fine, but when comfort turns into habit, freedom quietly disappears. Many people sell long-term peace for short-term ease without realizing the trade they are making. The chapter closes with a powerful reminder: work should support life, not consume it. Money should reward effort, not replace purpose. When purpose leads, money follows with less stress and more stability. Chapter 8, Simplicity, Clarity, and the Power of Saying No. This chapter explains that a simple life is not about limitation, it is about clarity. The author makes it clear that comfort is not the enemy. Confusion is. When convenience turns into habit, people slowly lose freedom without noticing. Many sacrifices are not made for survival, but to maintain unnecessary comforts that quietly drain time, energy, and peace. A powerful idea introduced here is the ability to say no. Most financial stress comes from wanting everything at once, every opportunity, every upgrade, every offer. But maturity is knowing that not every chance is meant for you. Saying no is not a loss. It is protection. The book explains that discipline does not mean being harsh with yourself. It means being clear about what matters. When priorities are clear, decisions become easier. And when decisions are easy, stress fades. This chapter also highlights that financial confusion often comes from unclear desires. People feel stuck not because they lack money, but because they want too many things at the same time. Simplicity removes noise and brings focus. The core lesson is simple yet powerful. Simplicity is not about having less. It is about needing less when life becomes lighter. Money naturally finds its proper place as a helper, not a burden. Chapter 9, Time, Money, and the True Cost of Every Decision. This chapter draws a powerful connection between time and money, two resources that never return once spent. The author explains that people often obsess over saving money while wasting time without realizing it. Money losses are visible. Time losses are silent. Yet time is far more valuable because money can be earned again, time cannot. Many people trade their time for small financial gains, ignoring the long-term cost. Others save money so aggressively that they lose moments, experiences, and health. The book emphasizes that balance is essential because money cannot buy back wasted time. And time without resources creates pressure. This chapter also introduces an important idea. Every financial decision has a hidden emotional cost. Where you work, how you live, and what lifestyle you choose affects not just your bank account, but your mental state. Decisions made only on financial logic often ignore peace of mind, and that price is usually paid later. The author encourages asking one powerful question before major decisions. Does this choice make life lighter or heavier? True wealth is not about maximizing income at the cost of energy. It is about aligning money with a life that feels sustainable and meaningful. The chapter reminds us that financial freedom does not mean endless options. It means fewer regrets. And that only happens when time and money are treated with equal respect. Chapter 10, Investing in Yourself, the Foundation of All Wealth. This chapter shifts the focus from earning and spending to the most powerful investment you can make: investing in yourself. The book explains that before thinking about stocks, mutual funds, or property, your first investment should always be in your own skills, mindset, and knowledge. Without a strong foundation, even the best opportunities fail. A weak understanding magnifies risks, while a prepared and patient mind turns ordinary chances into extraordinary results. True wealth starts not from money multiplying, but from your capacity to handle it wisely. The author emphasizes that investment isn't gambling. Many people chase quick returns and double their money overnight, but when losses hit, they blame luck instead of acknowledging their lack of preparation. Real investing requires calculated risks, patience, and readiness to handle setbacks. Another key idea introduced here is the fear of scarcity. This fear, rooted in childhood experiences, social comparisons, or personal insecurities, drives people to hoard unnecessarily or make impulsive decisions. Recognizing and overcoming this fear is essential, otherwise money never feels secure, no matter how much you earn. This chapter also highlights the difference between short-term gain and long-term stability. Impulsive, hasty decisions may bring temporary satisfaction, but lasting wealth comes from consistent, well-thought-out actions. The most successful investors are not the ones chasing trends. They are those who prepare, learn, and act with clarity. The core lesson of this chapter is simple yet profound. Your first and most important investment is in yourself. Skills, knowledge, mindset, and discipline compound over time far more than any financial asset ever could. Be wise, strengthening yourself first. Every financial decision, from spending to saving to investing, becomes clearer, calmer, and more effective. This chapter closes with a powerful reminder: money follows preparedness. Without a strong, disciplined mind, wealth remains fragile and fleeting. With it, even modest resources can grow steadily into real financial freedom. Chapter 11, The Power of Discipline, Turning Habits into Financial Freedom. This chapter focuses on discipline, showing how small, consistent actions shape not only your finances but your entire life. The book explains that discipline isn't about rigidity or deprivation, it's about clarity, control, and building habits that support long-term stability, starting with simple practices like saving regularly, controlling unnecessary spending, and following a budget. The chapter demonstrates how these routines reduce stress and give you real freedom. When you know exactly where your money goes, it no longer controls you, you control it. This is where confidence and peace of mind come from. The author stresses that discipline is learned, not innate. At first, managing money with rules may feel restrictive, but over time these actions become effortless habits. Even small steps, if taken consistently in the right direction, lead to significant results. Another key point here is the distinction between short-term satisfaction and long-term gain. People often sacrifice future security for immediate pleasure. But discipline ensures that your decisions today create stability and opportunity for tomorrow. The chapter also emphasizes that financial discipline protects you from impulsive choices, fear-driven spending, and poor investments. It's the mental framework that allows patience to thrive, preventing mistakes caused by panic or greed. The core takeaway of this chapter is clear: discipline is the bridge between goals and achievement. Every small, consistent habit compounds into real financial freedom. With a disciplined approach, money becomes a tool, not a source of anxiety. The chapter closes with a reminder: wealth isn't built overnight. It's built habit by habit, decision by decision, guided by a calm, focused mind. Chapter 12, Patience and Process, Measuring Success Beyond Results. This chapter dives deep into the importance of patience and valuing the process over outcomes. The book explains that most people measure success only by immediate results, their bank balance, returns on investment, or visible achievements. But real, lasting financial strength comes from consistent effort, smart habits, and steady decision-making. Not quick wins. The author emphasizes that results are often beyond our control, but the process always is. By focusing on doing the right things, working honestly, managing money wisely, and maintaining balance, you create a system that withstands short-term setbacks. Temporary losses or failures become learning opportunities rather than crises. Patience is described as the most powerful financial weapon. Impulsive decisions made out of fear or greed often lead to losses, while calm, measured actions lead to sustainable growth. The book explains that the mind must be trained to avoid the rush for instant gratification, as hurried financial decisions rarely last. The chapter also highlights the stability that comes from self-control. Life and markets fluctuate, income rises and falls, but a patient and disciplined mind finds solutions in every situation. This steady mindset builds a healthy relationship with money, where it supports you instead of controlling you. The takeaway from this chapter is simple but powerful. Focus on the process. Cultivate patience and success will follow. Quick results may bring temporary satisfaction, but consistent, thoughtful action brings lasting freedom. With patience and process as your guiding principles, money becomes a tool, stability becomes natural, and the stress of financial uncertainty fades. Chapter 13. Balance over excess, finding true wealth. Chapter 13 emphasizes that true wealth isn't about having more, but about maintaining balance. The book points out that many people chase money and possessions relentlessly, thinking more means better. But in reality, excess often creates stress, confusion, and imbalance rather than freedom. The author explains that life becomes truly stable when you align your income, spending, saving, and values. Every decision, what you buy, how you spend time, when to say yes or no, contributes to your overall financial and mental balance. People who let money dominate their choices often lose perspective, and wealth becomes a source of anxiety instead of a tool for security. The chapter also highlights financial discipline as a way to achieve freedom. Discipline doesn't mean rigid control. It means clarity. When you clearly know what you need and what you don't, your decisions become easier and more confident. Budgeting, planning, and setting limits aren't restrictions, they are the foundations of true autonomy. Another key lesson is that time and money are both valuable but not interchangeable. Many try to save money at the cost of time, forgetting that lost time cannot be recovered. Balance means managing both wisely so that neither is wasted. The chapter concludes with this powerful insight: money is a tool, not a destination. True wealth comes from making money serve your life, not the other way around. Balance ensures that wealth enhances your life rather than controls it. Chapter 14. Money reveals. It doesn't change. Chapter 14 dives into one of the most profound lessons of the book. Money doesn't change you. It reveals who you already are. The author explains that if a person is generous and disciplined, money amplifies those traits. But if someone is driven by fear, greed, or insecurity, money only magnifies those weaknesses. The chapter emphasizes that self-awareness is key. Before chasing wealth, you need to understand your own mindset. Money is simply a mirror reflecting your habits, values, and priorities. People who ignore this often blame money for their stress, when the real issue is their internal approach. The book also highlights the importance of purpose over accumulation. Wealth without direction can create tension, imbalance, and dissatisfaction. True financial freedom comes when money serves your life, not when life serves your money. Other key takeaways include: clear thinking creates better financial decisions. Confusion or fear leads to poor choices. Regardless of resources, balance is stronger than abundance. Too much, too fast, or unmanaged wealth can bring as many problems as it solves. Satisfaction is not the absence of ambition, but understanding what is enough. Knowing your limits allows you to enjoy life while growing steadily. The chapter closes with a simple but powerful message: money exposes your true self. The goal is not to let it control you, but to let it reflect the best version of you. Chapter 16. Mastering fear. Discipline and true balance. Chapter 16 dives into the psychology of money, emphasizing how fear, discipline, and clear thinking shape financial stability. The author explains that most financial mistakes are not caused by lack of money, but by emotions like fear, greed, comparison, and insecurity. Key takeaways of this chapter: fear is the hidden driver. Fear of scarcity, fear of falling behind, or fear of missing out pushes people into poor financial choices. Recognizing and controlling these fears is the first step toward financial peace. Discipline is learned, not inherited. Regular saving, smart spending, and following a budget build habits that reduce stress and create stability over time. Small, consistent actions compound into long-term freedom. Patience is a financial weapon. Quick decisions often lead to short-term gains but long-term losses. Steady, thoughtful choices are far more valuable. Clarity beats wealth alone. A clear mind and purpose-driven approach make even limited resources effective. While confusion can ruin abundant wealth, the chapter also emphasizes that money reflects your inner state. If generosity, honesty, and balance exist within, money enhances life. If greed, fear, or imbalance dominate, money amplifies problems. True wealth isn't just accumulation, it's about creating a life where money supports mental peace, relationships, and purpose. The chapter closes with the central message: financial freedom is achieved not by chasing money blindly, but by mastering your mind, controlling fear, practicing discipline, and making decisions aligned with your values. Chapter 17, the final lesson: money as a tool, not a master. The last chapter brings everything together, delivering the ultimate insight. Money cannot dictate your life, your values and mindset do. The author emphasizes that money is a tool to support your journey, not the destination itself. Key lessons: clarity and purpose are more valuable than wealth. When your decisions are driven by fear or external pressure, even vast resources cannot bring peace. But with clear priorities and values, money becomes an enabler, not a stressor. Satisfaction is a mindset, not a number. True contentment comes from understanding enough. When you constantly chase more without recognizing what you have, the race never ends. Satisfaction slows the pace, giving space for calm and strategic growth. Money reveals, it doesn't change. Your inner character determines how you handle wealth. Generosity, honesty, and balance grow stronger with money, while greed and fear are amplified. Relationships and life come first. Money cannot fix broken relationships or buy lost time. Balancing finances with emotional and social well-being is essential for a fulfilled life. Economic freedom means choice, not escape. True freedom is not avoiding work but making choices without being driven by fear. Purposeful action transforms effort into energy, not burden. The chapter closes with the central message: money is a servant, not a master. When your mind is disciplined, your fears managed, and your values clear, money becomes a tool that enhances life instead of controlling it. This final chapter reinforces that balance, clarity, and purpose are the real wealth. Understanding this lets you live a life where money serves you rather than the other way around.